Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was gonna have some silence for Charlie Kirk, and it is September the 11th. So maybe we can just have a moment of silence. Okay, now we're gonna do the roll call. We got Connie Hargis,
Present.
Daryl Wilson, Joe Carpenter. Gosh, found you, Shirley. Shirley Richard,
Yes.
Todd Hayes, and do I have approval of the claims? Everybody able to look at those? Do I have a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
And we have the minutes of approval. I think we only had one meeting last month, the 8th.
Yes.
And it was on, actually, August. I got the wrong date down here. What would have that have been? Do you remember? 14th?
14. Yeah.
Do I have a motion to accept the minutes from last month?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
And we. Mm. A lady from Commonwealth. I don't know where she went.
Okay, she said she'd be back, so.
Oh, she did? Okay. We'll go on to the pickle ball pay application 1.
Okay, application 1 itself, we have an application for payment. This is related to the construction of the football court. The Target Sports construction, original contract sum is $461,386. The request for payment due is $278,575.32. That is 278,575.32, which leaves the balance to finish at $182,810.68.
Do I have a motion to pay Target the first pay application?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is gonna be the Chris show.
Should we roll down?
Sure.
Resolution 425-3. It's a resolution establishing a formal citizen concern policy. So this is a resolution to establish a process, policy, as well as citizen complaints. Asking citizen concerns, barring actions, findings, and official form be available at City Hall. That the city will keep on receipt, review the concern, provide a written response. And in the response state whether any action is taken for that decision. So part of the response. Once the written response is issued, the city will have additional responses to repeat concerns on the same matter. The city will relevant provided. They ask citizens to treat city officials with courtesy and respect. The treasurer also made concern forms and written responses as part of the official city file.
One question I have is when they come and fill this complaint out, are they putting their signature on?
The form will have question procedure.
I think that'd be important.
So, we want.
I do a lot of work for Santa Claus, get a lot of complaints. A lot of times there's no signature. But that's easy to do.
Really mean it. I think that's the goal. The goal is log, make sure that complaints are received and responses that are given.
Sometimes we receive complaints over the phone and the office will put in. So they wouldn't be, I guess they could sign it, whoever filled it out. I'm not down with them, they put them on
So this will stop all complaints about the boards to get the city because of that two written.
No, this is day to day. So,
This
I mean, they're still welcome to come here. If they're not happy with the response that, we've figured out, then they're always welcome to come to a council meeting.
is just
Okay, we can't.
for sure.
Do I have a motion to accept resolution 2025-3?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution. This is ordinance 20-9. Ordinance approving pickleball court lighting project donation fund. This is related to the lighting project. The new pickleball courts was a separate project from the actual courts that we talked about a little while ago. This project is going to be 100% paid with private donations. And so this ordinance simply creates a fund so that those money can be tracked separately and not going to the city.
I have a motion to accept ordinance 2025-9.
I'll make
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Who's second?
Todd.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, who's second? A second.
I'll second.
Okay, I'm a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I heard you. Okay. Fine.
Next is 2025-10. Development Fund. This ordinance establishes City of Rockville program. City of Rockville Development Fund provides for the initial program, making forgivable loans from the program. City of Rockport redevelopment commission. So this has been worked on by your redevelopment commission. Working on a grant program to businesses to send businesses to facilities. And this figured out how to accomplish the program. Also used $50 to toward those improvements. So this establishes the program and the revolving loan fund and authorizes $50,000 to be deposited to start. Yes.
I have a motion to accept ordinance 2025-10. Do
I'll make the motion.
I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next item is engagement letter contract with Barnes and Thornburg. Thornburg is a law firm. They agreed to serve as bond counsel for upcoming sewage works financing. It's their engagement.
Is that for me to sign or is it for everybody?
It's just for, we not need this one.
Yes.
It's just. So,
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the Barnes and Thornburg contract?
I'll make that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Donna.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll say,
All in favor?
Aye.
then we have two, scopes of work, for Tilly. These are appendices, additions to their existing contract with the city for financial services. First one, it will add a scope of service for 2025 Bain and RD bonds related to.
Do I have a motion to accept the scope of work for the bands in 2025 for the bonds?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the other one is also the Baker Tilly appendix to their agreement. Scope of services for 2025 water utility.
Do I have a motion to accept? For the utility bonds?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Chris. So the Parks Board meeting was yesterday and the Central County Historic Society wanted to donate 2 plaques. It's the ditch down by the river, just south of Terry Davis's campsite. And they were wanting to put a plaque on both sides. Jeff's reading it, but, it's called Spanker's Branch. So if anybody wants any more information, I can either email it to you or it can send you home with a copy or whatever you want. But it's currently where President Lincoln, have you got to read any of it, Jeff?
It's got a lot of different information.
Yeah. I think President Lincoln left from there and went south down the Ohio River. So, you know, they went ahead and approved because the society is going to pay for it. We also went over the Parks Board rearrangement for the rental of the community building. It usually was $75 to rent it, $75 deposit, and and then there was tax on top of that, and they decided to rearrange that just a little bit, and it would be $100 to rent it, $50 deposit that you would get back. That would make it a little bit higher because the taxes are on the rental fee, so it would be,
It'll go from 155.25, how it is presently, to 157.
yes. So they approved that. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we had several car clubs rode through Rockport yesterday. Do you know how many cars there were? It was like 140,
150 is what I.
150.
Yeah.
Some really, really nice looking cars. So we were honored to have them stop at the Lincoln Pioneer Village. They got to explore the village and, visit in our park. We were honored to have them. And tonight we have Senator Daryl Schmidt. And he graciously came so that if we had any questions about Senate Bill 1 or any other questions, probably, that we think he can answer, he is more than willing to answer them. And he was going to talk to us about it a little bit. Anywhere you want, you can take it. Yeah.
Sorry. I was asking.
Yeah.
the Microphone picked you up.
Oh, I don't know. I can go wherever you need me. to go.
Yeah.
Actually, I speak pretty loud too.
Okay.
Thank you for having me and thank you for mentioning 9/11.
Thank you.
There's a lot of, and I'll put out a press release earlier, and I don't know if any of you get my State House Spotlight, which is there's weekly emails and things we send out. We're going to talk a lot about that, how we can, find our moral compass and figure out ways that, because there's so much more that sounds cliche, but unites us and divides us, and we have to figure out how to have civil conversations and agree to disagree. So thank you for doing that. As she said, a year ago yesterday, I was sworn in as our state senator. So it's been a whirlwind year, but I'm a farmer up from Jasper to, in there. I graduated Pike Central. Live right on the edge of Du Bois County. I was on Du Bois County Council for a couple of years, graduated BU Indiana State. Been a bunch of different places, but happy to be here and happy to kind of explain things that are going on. When I was elected last fall and we were talking about it, I made a commitment that I wanted to visit every place within the first 12 months in the first year so I can learn what's going on. So I can better be able to represent us. When I got on the Du Bois County Council, it took me 3 weeks before I was at every department head, judges, and met everybody. So tried to do the same thing. Well, then we had Senate Bill 1, which is a big change for all of us. So it even made it that much more important for me to be here and to come around. You guys are either council number 29 or 30 in the district. I think there's 39 councils in town, city, or county councils in District 48. Gibson, Pike, Du Bois, Spencer, Perry, Crawford County. So of the things that I gave out, this first one is just a basic. It's kind of a little quick brief breakdown of how veterans are affected in Senate Bill 1. There's a lot of confusion on it. Then the next one, whenever the session was over, I was getting so many questions from people on, what else in Senate Bill 1, what are we going to do? So I had, people smarter than I am up at Indianapolis, and said, I want to know a breakdown of everything that's in Senate Bill 1. So they did it, and then the press people printed it up a little bit. But in through here, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but you can read through this later. It basically talks about most of the basics of Senate Bill 1. I guess I would say this started back in 2023, so long before I was ever up there. But when I was on the county council, I would go up there in the wintertime and just set up in the balcony and kind of listen to what's going on. So I knew that this was getting to come. So at the end of 2023, it's a biennial budget in the state of Indiana. It's a 2-year budget on odd years. So they finished up the 2023 budget, and there was already a lot of clamoring, and we were all having issues with our property taxes, right? They were going up 20-some% a year for, 10 years already, however long it's been. So they started study committees at the end of 2023. With the goal then, it started implementing here in 2025. Basically, if you look at the big picture, to see the forest for the trees. 3 things are trying to be accomplished. Number 1 is delivering decisions to the local level for us. So we empowering us to make decisions, to make better decisions. Simplicity and transparency also. Okay. It's hard to figure out our property tax system, right? You have to make 18 different calculations to see what kind of a deduction you're going to get. You're going to hear about people talking about certain deductions are going away. Well, that's correct. They're going to go away. Certain things like veterans and elderly, it's going to come back in the form of just a direct credit. Instead of a deduction off of your total bill, some of those will come back as a credit of your tax liability. Okay. And you'll see in here, if you get in like the second and third pages, they're talking about the property tax credits and deductions. If everybody's familiar with your 1% and 2% and 3% caps, right? Homesteads are the 1%ers, right? Where you can't increase more than 1%. It's phased in between now and 2031 over a 7-year period. When we get to the year number 7, if your assessed value on your home is $150,000, say, okay, and you're the 1%, it's your homestead. By the time we get to year 7 and moving forward from that, there'll be a 2/3 deduction on your assessed value. So basically, it'll be the tax rate times 1/3 of your assessed value, $50,000 in this case. That's what your property taxes would be. Okay, so instead of having multiple individual deductions, this is where the simplicity and transparency piece comes in, right? Everybody will be getting a 2/3 deduction. Now, the 2% cap, which are your landowners, apartment buildings, apartment rentals and things of that nature, they will end up with a 1/3 assessed value deduction. So if there's 150,000, they'll have a 50,000 AB deduction, paying tax rate times 2/3. Okay. Then the 3% cap, corporations and things of that, it'll be tax rate times the full assessed value. So there was concerns about when the business personal property tax went from 80,000 to 2 million as a floor. That's to simplify and incentivize small businesses and local businesses, but still maintain your big facilities, right? Power plants and things like that, because if we would have taken business personal property tax away, it would have killed us as local government, right? I still consider myself us, right? Coming off the council. So as we get to year 7, that basically that over here, this business person property will be made up by the full assessed value. So that is one of the things. Then you're also the individual income tax. Okay, the local income tax. You guys, it's amazing. And as I started learning more, Spencer County has the lowest local income tax in the state of Indiana. That's a good thing.
Mhm.
Do you guys get a percentage of that, or I apologize. I didn't do my homework right.
We do.
Yes.
What's the percentage of that you guys get?
I'm not sure what the percentage is, but the last time I looked at the figures, it was about 80 to 100,000 a year.
Is that public safety or? Edit? Okay, edit. Okay. All right, that's fine. So
Just that,
it's okay.
I'm talking lit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
We're
Yeah.
talking about
Okay.
lit.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
Yeah, so-
I think you're right. I wasn't trying to put you guys on the spot.
Uh-huh.
I realize it's really good. But what's going to happen by the time we get to 2028? Everybody was concerned that public safety taxes are gonna go away and everything's gonna go away. Technically, it'll go away at December 31st at midnight. It'll come back looking a little bit different the next morning on January the 1st. Okay, but the concept is the same, and now Spencer County will be just a little bit different because there's no municipality above 3,500. Okay, so in you guys' case, the county will still be administering all the local income taxes, and if you guys so choose, everything can maintain its status quo the way it is, right? Nothing will have to change. It could be 8/10 before and 8/10 after, and everything can stay the same. There will be the flexibility of, if you guys would like, I think it'll be looking in form of like creating an ordinance where you guys would be able to create a local lit if you needed to, or yourselves, okay? You guys heard community crossings matching grants, do you apply for those?
Yes.
Okay. And I've got to check, and I was thinking about this just as I was sitting there a while ago. I'm unsure if by the county creating the minimums on excise and wheel tax, if that qualifies for you guys to determine 3,500. I will have to get back with you on that. It does not.
No.
Okay, so you would have to do something if you wanted to go for the second pool.
So they can't have a wheel tax, but because they can't have a wheel tax, they're not required to have it. So they're not, my understanding is you'll still be eligible for CCMG, obviously, slightly reduce the number.
200 million. Okay. I wasn't clear on that. I
They're
didn't.
eligible for that.
Okay, I didn't know that for sure. This is the first time that I've run into it in the county here, so I didn't have an answer. Okay, so then that eliminates that part of the equation. So the idea is to basically simplify, give us more flexibility through the wheel tax and the income tax if we need to fine tune. Okay, goal number one of this is because of the property taxes and all of us as homeowners are having a problem. So the idea was to provide it's modest relief. Okay, it's not extravagant relief, and it's not hitting us extravagantly at the local level. The idea is to give, empower us to do it. And most people don't know, but in 2015, the state income tax, the income, that comes right out of our paychecks, it was 3.4% in 2015. Okay. So when all these start taking effect in 2027, it'll be 2.9%. It's just been a gradual lowering, of states. So basically, since 2015, the last 10, 12 years, there's been a reduction of 0.5% in our income tax as citizens of Indiana from the state level. So now, if we can right size and find efficiencies at the local level and give property taxpayers some relief, that's our number one goal. If not, we have the ability to utilize the lit tax. And I like to look at it, if we've reduced the state income tax. So if we have to, and if we're not collecting it here, if we have to collect it a little at the local level, okay, it's basically just moving where it's collected, administered. And myself, I'd much rather us collect it locally and administer it and utilize it and manage it locally than have the federal or the state government taking our money and telling us how we're going to spend it. So that's kind of the overall goal. It provides between if you guys need to create a local income tax, say for something here in the city, you guys have the ability to do it. So this is giving you more flexibility. If your constituents are saying we want to do A, B, and C, and you're saying, okay, we can get A and B. If we raise lit 0.1%, then we can also do C. You know what I mean? Yes.
I was thinking that we couldn't get our own lit tax, that it had to go through the county and it was at their discretion as to whether or not we got it.
Technically, they have to approve it, yes. But as we're working together, why would they want to deny that if it's a reasonable request and it's something that your
Right.
citizens are calling for? So yes, under 35, they're going to do the administering and they would have to approve it. Some of these details, haven't.
I think the
exactly
only
been
reason why that scares me a little bit is if parties shift and the city might be one party and the county might be another or whatever. Not that would happen or could happen. It could be a problem.
Those are possibilities, okay, but we're at the local level and that's going to be for us to work out, as locals, okay? just like if they want to raise, if everybody's clamoring that wants to raise taxes, okay, then you've got the blessing, then you guys will do it. Just on the opposite, if they want to lower taxes and they're upset that the taxes are being lowered, it's a direct one-for-one correlation. You say, okay, that's fine. We're going to lower it 0.1%, but instead of paving 10 miles of roads, we're going to pave 8. These 2 roads are going to wait another year because of of not having the revenue. So, it's a direct relationship where you can be more responsive. And then ultimately, I guess then the ballot box makes a difference too. If you guys are wanting to do something and the county is not wanting to do something and they have, and the constituents and us taxpayers view it as unreasonable, well, then the ballot box ultimately takes care of it.
Right.
That's just me being totally open and honest and transparent. But I'd much rather have us making the choices and empowering us to make the decisions. So that's basically, that's the rough nuts and bolts of the philosophy. It's just 7-year plan. There's so many changes and so many moving parts. If there's things that we find that are unacceptable or unintended consequences, the budget committee, like I said, it started in 2023 when I wasn't there yet. They started meeting last week already, looking at potential flaws, things that need to be adjusted. So if you have things, I'm here as much to listen, to find and to get feedback and answer questions. And if there's things that we need to do to go back and adjust, as I am to tell you what's getting ready to happen. I'm just trying to give you the overall vision of why they're trying to do it. And it's a great concept, but we will, over the 7 years, make tweaks if we need to make it a good system.
Okay. I think from what I'm just hearing from, the population is that they feel like property taxes are going to go away completely and that we won't ever pay property taxes. And I don't think that's the case.
Now, everything's on the table. And if we could figure out a way to say, yeah, when your home's paid for, when you hit 65, property taxes go away, that would be ideal, but we're going to have another way to, even if we're all proponents, of limited government and, needs versus wants and staying out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And minimal government, okay? There's going to have to be a way to fund it. So if we're going to eliminate property taxes, everybody talks about Florida, Tennessee, but we don't have a beach and we don't have Nashville.
Right.
We have Nashville, Indiana, a little bit different than Nashville, Tennessee. So we're going to have to figure out something different. Property taxes have went crazy, right? So in a part of this, and this is the way I see a part of this, we're going to, as we're moving forward, we're also going to have to figure out and have a control on assessed value. Okay. There's a lot of assessed value discrepancies from county to county. Some people do it in-house. Some people have it all contracted out. Some counties, the contractors want to, I'll get your assessed value as high as I can get it or whatever if you hire me. I shouldn't even say that, but I'm just honest.
So there's
So
not,
I'm not accusing anybody here locally or anything like
Right.
that. So that is also has to be a complaint, in my opinion. Darryl, a farmer who pays taxes too. As we move forward, that's going to have to be addressed and controlled. If not, we're still going to be a mess, moving forward. The other part of that I see is property taxes are stable. That's a stable form of revenue. If everybody was familiar, in the first week of April, all of a sudden, the budget people were figuring out they had about a $400 million cushion in budgeting when they were budgeting. Well, then we came out of the April projections. So that was January, February, March of 2025 compared to January, February, March of 2024. There was a $2.4 billion reduction in the projections. So we had to do a lot of cutting, in the budget. A lot of things that we wanted to fund had to be taken out because Indiana has to balance their budget. Of that $2 billion shortfall, there's a lot of things that go into that state revenue. It's individual income taxes, corporate income taxes, sales taxes, and a lot of those things will be in that other, some of that other information that I gave you. But anyway, from 2024, the first quarter 24 to first quarter 2025, the biggest majority of that $2 billion reduction, the corporate income taxes paid. Okay, so corporations, profit margins, that revenue went down 25.9%. So that told me that obviously, did it tell me that we were in a recession? I don't know, but corporate profits went way down. So that's not as stable as property taxes. Not saying that's right or not. If we can come up with a better way to collect it, then we will. We have to look, roughly 2/3 of us in rural Indiana, our property taxes, 2/3 of that fund schools. Okay, so we have to, that has to be a factor in that now. And then I guess just a letter of support or whatever, just to clarify that, the 2/3 went to the schools, then the other third is for basically local government, townships, libraries, and all that. What also happened whenever we had to find $2 billion cuts at the state level, K through 12 education was spared in that. Okay. Local schools were losing out the most on the property tax savings that we were clamoring for as homeowners. So there was actually a $930 billion increase in the state tuition support to soften the blow. Property taxes that we collect locally that go to the schools, that primarily are facilities, takes care of the facilities. There's also, and I didn't know this until getting involved, there's also a component state tuition support, the amount of money that state brings down to the schools, that takes care of teacher salaries and some of those things. And that was increased $930 million to offset that over the 2-year budget. That's over the 2 years of the 2-year budget cycle to soften that,
Okay.
Any questions? I think I covered a lot of the philosophy. Yes, sir.
This is not passed yet, is it?
No, that is.
That's passed.
Yes, yes. That's effects. Everything that I gave you, including this one, is all stuff that is effective after Senate Bill 1. If you guys look at this one here, it talks about Senate Enrolled Act 1. If you go to the front page, don't go to Spencer County, but if you go to the front page of all the columns here, the first column is 25, 6, and 7, and 8. Okay, the first column of the first set of columns, the first number is 2025. That's basically that's actual property tax revenue for 2025. So if you don't go back to your page yet, I just want to explain the top of the key. This is the entire district. This is entire District 48. Okay, now the 2026, 27, 28 in that first column would have been your revenue if we'd have kept raising taxes at the rate we were going beforehand and no property tax relief. Okay, just so everybody can understand, or it's clear. And the second set of columns is 2026 through 2028, and that says estimated net levy under Senate Enrolled Act 1 and House Enrolled Act 1427. So those are the actual revenue projections for 26, 27, and 28. And then the third set of columns is the estimated revenue change year over year. Okay. And then the fourth column is just the percentage change. There was a lot of confusion when these numbers were coming out initially from AIM and AIC and everybody. They were sending out where it was big losses. Okay. But actually what they were coming out was a loss of unrealized gains. We can go back. We can go back to Spencer. I didn't look ahead of time. Like Rockport here, 2025, it was 695,000. Okay. And in 2026, the first set of columns would have been 735,000. So if we would have kept raising taxes the way it was, there would have basically been a $40,000 increase in revenue from 2025 to 2026. Okay. So now if you go to the second column, it's showing your actual 699,926, and then the third column is 4,870. So that's saying, if we would have kept raising taxes, you would have had, that's what it was here. Okay, it had been $40,000 increase. Instead, now it's a $4,800 increase. Okay, and then in you can see there the next columns. In 2027, it'll be a $30,000 increase and a $40,000 increase in 28. So 0.7% increase, 4.3 and 5.5. So when you were getting numbers showing with a big loss, that would have been, if you were going to receive 20,000, just for rough math, now you receive 5,000. some of the first reports were saying, okay, Rockport was gonna lose $15,000. But that was actually just unrealized gain, right? You know what I mean? It was so a reduction of the increase. But a lot of people had that. I just want to make sure that
I
everybody's.
think unfortunately for us, we've got retirees and we've got low income people. So the circuit breakers are what kills us with the new tax bill. And I think we've lost like $100,000 for next year because of circuit breakers. So,
Our circuit breaker is going up every year. So
so in the last,
gain in property taxes this year is more than eaten up by the circuit breaker that we lose immediately off the top.
Okay, so you're. I
so
wouldn't
for
have
the
really
last 2
thought
years,
that.
we're down about 200,000.
Okay,
So
Yes.
we're gonna have to lose people. We're gonna have to do something.
I'm in the same thing in other places where there
Right.
are projections different, as the actual circuit breakers come in, that the circuit breakers are larger than what was projected. So that's taken into net loss instead of a smaller net gain.
okay.
Yes.
I didn't know that was affecting you. It's affecting everybody different depending on your
Right.
mix of residential and businesses.
Right.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Is that, have they clarified that with you at DLGF?
I have
Department of
not,
Local Government?
I have the numbers from DLGF, but I haven't spoken to someone. But yes, we're set to lose quite a bit more in circuit breaker than we did last year even. And last year was higher than the year before. So
I did not.
And then when we don't have control of our own lit, because we have to petition the county, that puts us in greater jeopardy, not to mention our city doesn't have a lot of business. So we have retirees, we have low income, and we have very small business. So I have
That's
been
why it's
working
hitting
really
us
hard to, have quality of life here. Because if we get people into our city, then more people will want to invest in our city. And so, that's taken away all of our quality of life money to try to get it to change. So,
Help.
And how does that help? Put it under 3,500. I mean, why, if it's a city, it's a city. I mean, how can they do a budget? You know what I mean? Because they can't see this, they don't see this, so, they are $200,000 trying to do a budget.
I agree with, I know, I agree with you. Now, here's the way I look at this, though. I wouldn't get too caught up on the 3,500 person, okay? I think, and then some of these details haven't been worked out, but I think it's gonna be basically you guys creating an ordinance. They can't unreasonably.
Yeah.
The council can't or the
County.
county council's not gonna unreasonably be able to dictate that to you guys.
do we go ahead and do that now?
I know, that's okay, that's good. I like the eye roll. I'm trying to
I'm
get
not
on.
rolling my eyes, I'm just thinking because I'm living in the world, I get paid.
So that's good. That's why I'm here, yeah.
But, and I think Spencer County's different than other places, but I can tell you, there are other places where, I don't know. I mean, the reality is, the way it's structured now, city under 3,500, the city will have to make a petition to the county, so the county can create, the way I understand it, statute. The county can create a lit of its own, and separately create a lit for the smaller towns and cities. They can choose to do either or, so they can create the list for the county, but not create the list for the county. So while you might be right that we can all work together and come up with the reality for budgeting and planning is there's a cliff. The city's staring between 2027 and 2028. They won't know what that looks like until 2027 when they petition. Hopefully the county says yes. So that's the whole thing.
And am I wrong in assuming, I thought when we petitioned, they could keep up to 75% of
There's
whatever
there's a
we,
provision in there
There
that
is.
says that keep up to 75.
so, then are we gonna have to go and say, okay, this is exactly what we're spending money on?
County council believes that it's been suggest decide better how to use it for the city of town Santa Claus, and they may keep that back and then decide what to do. So I'm hopeful. not like this. I'm hopeful that between now and then, 2026, that when you guys have heard from all of these, that there's a lot of the sessions, a lot going on. You get out, the sausage is made, they sell like goods. And they want to fix it.
That's why we're here doing it right now. Like, so they started meeting last
As
week.
opposed to just kind of saying it's all gonna work out, we actually look at what really concerns are and see if we can figure it out.
Absolutely. You have to look at short term right now because you're creating a budget for next year. I'll do some more research on your circuit breakers. And part of the reason there's uncertainty is just because you were talking income levels, and we don't know that. Department of Revenue did not track anything by addresses. Okay, so the 2025 tax returns that pay up to 2026, they're going to start tracking that information where you'll know exactly. You won't be guessing what revenues are, and you know what I mean. So to make better decisions on this. This was a big deal. I mean, there's a lot of changes, and it was total chaos. And I don't know any different because it was my first session. But even people that have been there forever said there was a ton of changes, and there are. We're going basically from a levy-based system to a rate-based system, and we had like the sixth most, I shouldn't say not convoluted, complicated property tax system in the country. And we actually freak out because our property taxes have been going up, but it's kind of like a roller coaster a little bit. We still have one of the most reasonable property tax rates in the country. In northern Indiana, they're running out of Illinois coming over to northern Indiana and the Lake County because of the property taxes that they pay in the state of Illinois. You know, we're picking up, I don't remember the numbers, but tons of people. And I did an analysis, and if I'm getting too long-winded, you shut me off and tell me to stop. But I looked back in 2014, I just picked a parcel of ground that we own. And I think the property tax we were paying on it was $2,700. Okay, so then I went and I tracked it every year. It's in there if I would dig it out, but just for the sake of the story, it went down for about 4 or 5 years, and then it started going back up. And I didn't realize this till this winter, but it took until, what are we in, 2025? It took until 2024 to get back up to the $2,700. And then last year was up to 3,200. So a lot of the stuff goes in cycles, and there's a lot of ways that they're figuring market value. Eggland's a little bit different because it's a 6-year rolling average of revenues, you know, the ability of land to produce revenue. But so, and if you look at your homeowners, I saw homeowners the same way. The curve was a little bit different. It was like, you know, the homeowner, I think, went down later and came up. So it didn't happen exactly the same, but the same concept. So I don't know. I don't know where we go or where we move, but that's why we're having these discussions.
Yeah, it should be that our circuit breakers, you know, continuously rise and we're not able to fund the city and have, you know, everything that we have now. Would we be able to petition the state? Is the state going to help the county? I guess not us, but the county structure all of that so that.
You mean the local income tax moving forward?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to give you guys or give us, however you want, a lot more flexibility moving forward. You know, the 1.2%, it's 2.9 total. Okay, county's 1.7, city's 1.2. Now in the county, there's 1.2% considered up to 1.2% for general purpose. There's 0.4% for right now EMS and fire. I think it's 3/10 for 2/10 for special units, townships, libraries, and 3/10 for escape now. I said property tax relief if you want. Now, if you add those up, that's actually 1.9%, but the county can only do 1.7. So I can't max them all. Okay. And of that 1.2% is general purpose where the county can do what they want to do with it. If it's something that if it's something that the sheriff's department needs, that if they're working with you guys or ambulance, if the county pays all the ambulance, that'll still be a county that, if that's what they choose to do, that will all benefit from, the cities and municipalities. 1.2, my understanding for the municipalities is that can be, that's open-ended. Whatever you and the constituents in the community want to do, you'll have the latitude to do with them.
So there's no template. We are beginning to form a template for the county and the cities and the towns. Is that correct? To follow.
Yes, there is. There's already, yeah, that's the guidelines, the way they state right now. It is, and I should have had a copy of that. I might approach, you can just look at my notes there, but those are the things that I talked about, and I'll, I don't think, they might actually, I think it's in.
So, Daryl, on this page, page 2 of this column up here, local income tax changes continued. Up in that top, it says provides that an ordinance adopted on or before October 1st of a calendar year. Is that like this October? We have to do this?
No,
Okay,
that would be of each year, but
Okay.
but the lit changes don't take effect until 2028.
okay.
Okay, so no, we've got time to react.
So we have time.
They did that, they did this on purpose, right? They created all these, and since there's so many changes, nothing will really happen until 2028, or
Okay.
not nothing, but a lot of the major changes, because we'll be in session next year. We typically, the state does not do budget items on the off year, right? We're doing the budget on the odd years. Next year's typically not for budgets. If there was ever a time that we would meddle in the budget, I'm gonna guess next year would be the one. But then in 2027, as we have 2 years of this, we could be changing stuff in 2027, so we don't have it messed up for 2020.
Okay.
But that's why we're here now, and that's why I'm here now. Just asking.
I think if the restrictions on lit would be opened up for cities and towns under 3,500, where we can control our own destiny also.
Yeah.
It would help us.
So that's a big
A lot.
concern. Where
Just a
Sure.
huge-
that is valid, like
Yeah.
you say. We try to keep politics out of everything, but it
Right.
would be let's just say personality conflicts. How about there's personality conflicts between the city and county? Yes, okay.
Right. And right now it's fine, but 10 years from now it may not be.
That's right. I get that. Yes.
It's just, Spencer County, it's lowest in the state. It's just looking like
But hey,
when,
right.
We're counties. So there's not even. I guess based on that, we're gonna look at county, there's not a lot of guarantees. Not much more of a lid. How does that survive? There's just a lot of open questions.
There are.
And so I think some more certainty, like the mayor said. I think the state and town control their own destiny a little bit.
I get it. I get it.
We had some discussions last year during the session about lowering that, probably 3,500. Whatever the number would need to be, 2,000 or something like that, right? And I think it was just too much going on to get that. So that would be one thing. Fine.
It started out, when I got up there in January, okay, and Senate Bill 1 came out the first time, and I saw it for the first time, I was like, oh,
Mhm.
shoot. And look, it was 7,000. You know, there was a lot of discussion behind the scenes for 7,000, and then it got moved down to 3,500.
How many cities live there?
Oh, boy, I don't know, but there's quite a few.
That'd be the ones that you need. Oh.
So cities, and I know it can help.
Yeah, I don't know how many there are, but if you look at it, they're trying to keep this manageable too, right? You know, from the state perspective, they're not wanting to throw everything in total disarray. I don't think it'll be a problem, but here's what happens: if there's unintended consequences and there's a problem, well, that's why the state legislature meets every year too, right? If there's bad actors in the thing.
I mean, I honestly feel like if I'm gonna lift the lit problem, then they have to make annexation easier and lift some of those restrictions.
Yeah. Well, and we're going in the right direction, in doing that. If you visualize the idea with, now a lot of people, you guys are different. Spencer County didn't have any kind of wheel tax, okay, right? They're trying to get local skin in the game, and as we're reducing the amount of money that the state's collecting and we collect it locally, the wheel tax, I guess it's been there forever up, in Du Bois County and it's pretty appropriate, right? If you're paying, if you're paying $7.50 per vehicle and you've got 10 vehicles, you're paying 75. So, and you're using the roads theoretically more, than what the other people are. But if you look at it as we move forward and say we get it down to 1,500 or something, so you can control your destiny on that, so if you're going to be controlling the wheel tax and the local income tax, and those are all tools for you to utilize, and they're both directions, right? You're going to have the ability, if your constituents want more services, you raise it. If they don't, you can lower it. It's more responsive for us at the local level. And but some of these restrictions go away. People are concerned that it's a 2.9% total. We're fine here in southern Indiana. Excuse me. A lot of places, they're already bumping that. So they're worried about it. Personally, I think they put a limit on here, and then can that change? If everybody needs change, yes, it can.
Do you feel like this puts more load on the working class again?
I don't really think so. The wheel tax, if you got one vehicle, you're paying, 5 or 750.
Well, and just even lead.
And income taxes, based off of income. Everybody, if there's not, I don't think that's the goal, to make a fundamental shift on who's getting burdened, right?
Right.
There's a lot of moving parts in this thing, COVID threw everything for a loop, really.
Right.
It's not anybody's fault.
Right.
That everybody was worried about going into the Great Depression, so we print a lot of money. So until things shakes out a little bit, I don't know. And as we move forward, like I said, it'll be more clarity. Once we understand, the average incomes in municipalities, as they're collecting more data, this will become clear.
Okay.
Do you have anything to do with this? I'm gonna say thank you.
I had to print that out. Well,
Yeah.
and I don't want to take credit for anything, but all I did was whenever the session was over, even during the session, Kathy's calling and everybody's calling with questions. And I just assumed that you guys got all the information right away. And now I'm starting to figure out that sometimes the information doesn't trickle down the way it should. So then that one and, the other blue one, I just had them create. I said, I want to know. So they did. And then I said, well, pretty it up. So instead of just an old email, and that's what they did. We created those up there just to try to help people understand. It's just common sense we need to do a better job at the state. And that's one of the things we've got to figure out, how to get information to us as local governments better.
It's a problem everywhere.
Yeah. When you have kids, you really don't get an owner's manual with the kids, right? That's why I tell our kids all the time. I said, I didn't get an owner's manual. I don't know what I'm doing. When you're raising kids, well, same thing as state government or local government. We get some guidelines, but a lot of stuff we got to fill in the gaps on our own. So I'm going to try to figure out a better way to get the information down. I mean, we're getting one set of numbers from some of the associations, AIM or whatever. Not bashing AIM at all, or your Baker Tillys of the world and what Thornburg or whatever, different people that you're dealing with. It almost, and I hate big government, and I'm more for get out of the way and limited government, but in certain instances, maybe we've got to do a better job of creating something better information flow here.
I think we consult these people for guidance because we don't know which way to go.
I know. So
Yeah.
that's going to be one of the things I'm going to try to figure out is a better way to get information flow. Because every firm, kind of, they have their own opinions because there's so many assumptions you can make on this. You have to make a lot of guesses, when you're talking about future revenues. So, but anyway, any other questions? I don't want to dominate too much of you guys' time. I just came to answer if I can, and if not, find an answer.
How much of a tax impact do you think the new lits are going to be?
New lit is going to be?
Like the new income tax, since that's what we're changing to from the property tax. And the reason I ask that is because I have 2 young kids who can't afford, to buy homes. They're working. Life is already not easy. And I feel like maybe this might be an even higher tax that they're going to be paying now.
Well, if you look at it, we're trying to, they were trying to reduce property tax, which that's also a burden for owning a home, right? If the property taxes keep going up crazy. And the idea of this whole thing is, the first thing that us as local governments, we've got to do is look for efficiencies, right size and shrink a little bit. We all kind of, when COVID hit, they were printing out billions of dollars, and I don't care. It was, the Trump administration, the Biden administration, they were all worried to death that we were going to fall off into the Great Depression. So they were printing a bunch of money. The state was the same. The state was getting addicted to, all that money flowing, and then it came down, and it's got, the counties, we all end up using it too. What was it? The
Ready funds.
ARPA money and
Yeah.
yada, yada, yada. So, and some of us we put ARPA money in and created positions, and we needed a lot of those, but those are something that keeps on giving year after year, right? Positions that you have to continue to pay for. So there was a $54 billion worth, or there is $54 billion worth of debt held at the local level. And that was starting to get concerning, there's a limited, I think Indiana has the fourth lowest debt as a state, which that's comforting and that's good as a state, the fourth lowest in the country. We have to balance the budget every year. It's not like the federal government, but they were starting to get concerned. So they're trying to, I guess, I think as a state, encourage everybody to look internally first. And then if we have to, there's no law that says that you guys are going to have to raise your income tax at all. It can stay the way it is now. And this circuit breaker for this year, the way I like to look at it, and you can even look at that on your on the revenue projections increase this year. I think it was Rockport was 0.7% this year, and in revenue increased 4.3 and 5.5 in projections 7 and 28. So if we were going to continue on raising taxes the way we were and have a growth rate like, whatever, the chart is like this, basically all we did was we just kind of lowered it down, took out 1 year of no increase, take it, put a year in roughly flat. Now everybody's affected different because of circuit breaker. So that, that slowed that increase down. But if we do have to use income tax, just remember that the state has lowered the state income tax. So our income tax has been reduced to 0.5% in the last 10 years. So if you have to, so we've kind of been right sizing government, I guess, if you will, as a state. And that's not at all political. I'm just saying if we were spending too much, we've lowered that 0.5%. So however we can manage down here, if we can manage and stay the same, not everybody can. You know what I'm saying? If you guys have less businesses and you're affected differently,
Is there
It's good.
any tool out there so that I can figure out who is the working class in Rockport, how much we are getting from businesses?
that's what I'm saying. That's going to be tracked here. Their Department of Revenue is it's the change in the municipal and the local county lit and then municipal. They're tracking 2025 taxes payable 2026. Their address is tied to that, and we'll start to get that information. Hopefully by April or May of next year, once the first quarter is complete. And then so there's going to be a lot more information that we're going to start getting. That's as good as I can do. I'm just,
Okay.
but,
But we're grateful that you came and are sharing what
just
information
trying
you
to-
have.
just
Yes.
Trying to, we need to work together and figure this all out. So that's what I'm trying to do. Kathy's got my cell phone number if any of you guys need it. Some of you other guys have it too. Feel free to reach out, anything I can do to help.
Okay. Does anybody have any more questions? Do we a motion to adjourn?
Well, thank you for coming again.
Oh, well, he wants to do that. He didn't come back, did she?
She didn't come back. That's it. I think she might have made it.
Oh,
I'm going to. I will do.
Okay, good.
okay.
You all- Yeah.
We do have to approve it.
So are you ready?
Yes.
So you've got, this is the Commonwealth. Hey, guys. 11 for your wastewater. Project. which started at $14,009,000+. This pay request is held back. $1,194,638.90. One comment, 4,638, $381, $6,381,000, $489.13, which is being. That's what she said.
Well, she did say we got the lead.
She also said you got
Oh, yeah.
100% funded for your
Yes.
lead grant program from SRF. So
And then also she said 110,000 matching.
yeah, they're gonna
Is available? Yeah.
So like that project's gonna get done.
Yeah.
So that's.
That is good.
So that's the pay application.
So that has to be approved.
I have a motion to accept pay application number 11.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh.
Okay.
I asked you if we could something about it.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
And, I'd like to come to council.
Okay, sure. Sure.
If you want. I say, well, I know,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
you might know a whole lot.
I doubt it.
Here, he said, all I'm waiting for is a signature. Get this to the, approved from the city. And within a day or two, he can have it full vision. And I come back, talk to the mayor yesterday, and she got it done. The signature he asked, according to what you told. And,
He,
the Corps of Engineers hasn't.
he confirmed that he got it too.
So he confirmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, once we get that done, we may have to wait as much as 6 months before we hear about it. Corps of Engineers, they work at their own pace. Not much we can do other than we do have a little bit at the federal level. We did, we still do a little bit connection that will help us get that expedited. Here, and after that's done, we got like once we start work or get it approved, I understand we got 24 months to actually start work. Okay. Might be done by like, but I ask y'all.
It'll all depend on Ready 2.0, actually.
And then, from that point, grants will be very much, if we can get grants. Whomever, wherever. But we need to start thinking about the grant program. And hopefully, the engineering company will help us with that procedure. If not, we've got to take it on our own. But, I'm excited about getting this thing in motion. I hope y'all hang in there with me. We'll get this thing done. If
We'll
not,
do it. Thank you.
Okay.
Do I have a
That's good to
motion
hear. Yeah, it's very good to hear.
to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Bye.